Prepared a great presentation for you that I really want to get across my experience in publicity, which is the topic today. But she actually touched on something very important that, a lot of us start off in business with a particular expertise, and we have to learn how to market. Who here, by a show of hands, can relate to that? You're good at what you do, but you got to learn the business of business, right? And at first, I think we get a little bitter about this. I'm an expert. I'm the best in the world at this. People should be coming to my door, right? But that doesn't happen, I figured when I got into Guinness Book of Records that, the sky would open up and money would fall out, and it didn't happen. Did that happen to anybody I know of? Anybody here? No, so what I'm going to talk about is how I was born into poverty, working class poverty. My dad pretty much was just getting by, and I didn't go to college. I can tell you my whole sob story. I spent years in the hospital recovering from ailments. When I was a teenager, I had to walk with a cane because I had a back problem that was so bad. But what all of that gave me, and I don't want to make this about my story, but I just want to let you know that I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was not privileged. Everything I'm going to show you today is based on some horrible mistake that I made, and I learned from it. And I think if anybody here has been in business for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and aside from perhaps not double-checking the address with the right person, I don't make horrible mistakes anymore. And I'm going to show you some really neat insights about a relatively misunderstood area of marketing, which is publicity. Alright, so I have a slideshow over there. I don't know if they can set it up on here, but you guys can all see it over there. It's meant to be big enough to see. Alright, so starting off, sales and marketing. Every time we go into business, we realize until we actually learn how to sell our services or our product, we'll never get anywhere in business. And everyone has been in that situation where you see somebody who does not even have your credentials, doesn't even have your abilities, your talent, whatever you perceive as your cutting edge, but because they're able to market themselves in a particular way, they're able to dominate a marketplace. Who, by a show of hands, has seen that? All right? Now, I'm not trying to be cynical in here, but to be ignorant of that fact is to be ignorant of the fact of business. So I want to arm you with the tools you can use in what I feel is the most overlooked, misunderstood area of potential huge growth for every business owner, which is the PR game, if you will. So start off with, you see yourself like this. At least I see myself like that some days. At least my wife saw me like that, I guess. But the problem is your customers, at least your potential customers, see you like this. They don't know who you are. And even if you've shaken their hand and met them, I could tell you a million stories about memory studies and neuroscience studies about how many impressions you need to really get into the mind of a customer. And you'd be surprised. It would actually probably explain to you a lot of why it's so tough to get to that name recognition, that top level of understanding. So we're going to do a little advertising here. I'm going to go back into the archives, and every once in a while during this presentation I want to have some fun, because we can get pretty serious when we're talking about publicity. So I want to go back to what they used to do in advertising, and today, by today's standards, it's incredibly politically incorrect. Oh my God, you have to see this stuff. It's hilarious. First of all, did you know your dentist recommended cigarettes? Did you know that? Your dentist would recommend it because they have a filter. There you go. This one's crazy. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette, and I can't even say the one on the left, but you can read it. It's hilarious. These are real ads. I didn't make it up. All right. So today we have two choices when it comes to marketing ourselves. There's what I would call a large umbrella of advertising, and I would also put in, your business cards in there, any sort of big umbrella trying to interrupt the customer to get their attention. So signs by the side of the road, right up to advertising in the Super Bowl and on the radio, flyers, everything like that. Essentially, the way I like to see the difference between advertising and PR is that advertising has to interrupt the consumer. All right, so when you're watching your favorite TV show, the ads interrupt what you wanted to watch. And that's really the main reason why a lot of people see advertising like this. It tends to be very expensive because there's a lot of very big players, a lot of billion-dollar corporations in the game, and if they can pay those sorts of fees, then the little guy has less of an opportunity. Now, the internet is starting to change this a little bit, but again, that's also a sector where you really have to learn a lot or get an expert. So there's a learning curve or a period of adjustment where you really have to commit to it. But the other thing about advertising is they're annoying. As much as I love the game of business, when I'm watching my favorite TV show, I won't say what it is, Walking Dead, and the advertisement comes on, what do? Well, most of us have DVRs now, and we fast forward them, and I'm going to show you the results of that on the price of advertising and the effect of advertising on television, by the way. So it also makes it very hard to track. Traditional advertisement is horribly hard to track because what an advertising agency will do will say, you just have to buy more and more. And don't get me wrong, I mean, advertising has its place. If you have a company where you're trying to build a brand and you've got to make a major investment, every major advertising agency will tell you that. It's not for the faint of heart, it's not for the shallow pockets. It is something that you have to get your message in front of customers a lot to get a little bit of feedback. But of course, the benefit is on the other side. Eventually you get to the point where you're a household name, if you will, and then you just have to invest a little bit of advertising to get that back. But we're talking typically millions of dollars of investments before you can get that kind of a return, even in a local market. Even if you're an accident lawyer in a local area and you're advertising, you got to do a lot of investment in advertising to get your name out there to the point where you've got some momentum. Does this make sense, guys? All right, so this is why, obviously, starting off where I started off, this was not even an option for me. And also the final thing is it's losing effectiveness. That's why I have the crumpled up newspaper. The media world is changing dramatically, and it actually opens up a lot of opportunities for PR guys. And I can tell you some of the cool things that we're doing. I'll get into some of the sales numbers later, but we had a really good month this last month. Okay, so publicity on the other hand is affordable if you take it, under your own assumption. If you make it your job to do publicity, let's say you're an expert or you're an author. I'm thinking people like, there's a lot of names like Tim Ferriss, Jack Canfield, even Tony Robbins. People like this, they just picked up the phone and they tried to get media, and they learned the game kind of by trial and error. It's also what I did. I started off just picking up the phone and getting in front of the media. And you might think to yourself, well, of course it's easy for you to get in front of the media. You're in the Guinness Book of Records. You try calling the media sometime. You've got to have a lot more than that. I have competitors of mine who haven't been able to get this kind of media because they don't really learn the game. And there's also a lot of pitfalls. When you try to contact the media yourself, without any sort of training, it's actually very easy to, in today's day and age, because all the media are all connected, it's very easy to get blackballed if you don't do it right. So I'm thinking specifically if you call a radio. I mean, so many channels are owned by Clear Channel, the DJs all talk to each other, so if you do a bad interview or if you contact them with the wrong hook, then they'll tell all their friends, and it makes it twice as difficult for you to book the next time. So there's a little bit of pitfalls, and I'll try to, in the short period of time I have, I'll try to share as much knowledge as I have about that. The other major thing, and anybody who's done any publicity, even paying for publicity through a PR agency, typically the return on the investment is 10 times what you get in advertising. And the reason why we can say something like this is because if you get an interview on the Today Show, like when I was on the Today Show, my interview was, we counted the total, it was almost 20 minutes, I think it was 18 minutes, it was split up into 3 segments, it was with Kathy Lee and Hoda, and if I were to get that much time, 18 minutes, on that station, pretty much prime time, slightly after the 9 o'clock hour, the cost would be tremendous. But because I had a little creativity, and I could give something to the host, and I could give them something that was a really good hook, something that their audience was really interested in, it got me on there for much less. Even if I was hiring somebody to put me on there, we get the right hook, we get the right style, we talk to the producer and make the right relationship, it's much cheaper than paying for advertising. Plus, the point I have down at the bottom is that it's priceless. I mean, the fact is you can't buy that segment. You know, you can't buy a segment on Dr. Oz, right? You have to kind of earn it. So there's a level of credibility that you get when you're in, you know, the paper or on TV or whatever that you don't get by buying the advertisement. You know? So one of the things that we've been doing with our clients, for example, is we'll take authors and they'll, we've got a lot of Canadian authors that want to get a green card and come over here just like I did. And one of the interesting things with immigration is that if you get a lot of publicity, mind you, you have to get a lawyer and give them a bunch of money, but you're pretty much guaranteed that you can get a green card and you can kind of fast track the process. I got my green card within 6 months. Most people it takes 5 years. So that gives you an idea of how powerful publicity can be for you. And anybody who knows, see a few people nodding their heads, anybody who knows about that system, it's the O visa, so it kind of puts you into that different category where it's fast tracked. So more credibility. You get one interview on a major station, and then you take that clip, you put it on your website. Everybody who visits your website sees that you are on that station, and you're instantly seen as the top expert in that field because you are on that show. There's also another really interesting thing that happens in radio. People tend to be very loyal to the particular DJ that they listen to, because they battle traffic every single day, listening to this person every single day. Often because it's similar values, similar politics, similar music, whatever you want to call it, similar demographic. And when that DJ says you're the best at what you do, or you're an expert at what you do, then it's an endorsement that you cannot buy. And probably the best example of that is how Howard Stern used that years ago. He would say, I ate at that pizza joint, and it was pretty good. And 1 million people would show up and buy a pizza, when he was in his height on the open airway. So it's also interesting. When you do the PR game, the goal of it is to make you newsworthy. So when you have to buy advertisement, that you never have to work that hard to make an ad. You're just selling something. But when you actually go into the PR game, it actually challenges you to find out what is interesting about your topic, what is interesting about you. And I'm going to show you a couple of our clients that we did this for, and took topics that you wouldn't think there's anything more to say on it, and we got national media attention for it. So by aiming at being newsworthy, you become more newsworthy. But first of all, why learn from me? We already mentioned a little bit about who I am, but I want to tell you a couple of neat PR events I've been in. I am Canadian. What's that, a boot, eh? And there's my Guinness Record certificate. Ever since they asked the president for his birth certificate, I've been putting this up in every one, because you never know, right? No, actually, honestly, when I met my wife, when I first met her, she didn't believe I was in the Guinness Book of Records. But it was like I'm in the Guinness Book of Records for memory, not like race car driving or something that guys would lie about. You know what I mean? So, guys, you back me up on this. If you're going to fib, memory expert would not be the first thing that you think of, right? It wouldn't be, So that was my argument there. She went and Googled me, and then all of a sudden we had a second date. So it was pretty cool. Now, the memory techniques are amazing, and I love this field. I've sold products worldwide in this, and I really believe in it passionately helping kids. If you want to ask me about that later, this presentation is on how I turned that topic and essentially shined a spotlight on it and actually got media attention. But I'd love to talk to you more about it later. My Guinness record is memorizing decks of playing cards. I memorized 59 decks of cards all shuffled together, so those are all the cards. In order, the number and the suit I recalled from memory on the Discovery Channel, and I still hold the record to this day. So that's cool. Now, here's a really neat publicity stunt that I did actually in downtown Manhattan. Because I was able to get a lot of PR, you start to get approached by corporations to do things for them, kind of to take your brand, if you will, or your coolness or whatever, and they want to join on. So this was really neat. I was hired to be a speed reader on the Sony Reader, and I was actually living inside the DataVision store. You guys know where DataVision is? It's right by Times Square, but it's a couple blocks over. And this is the window that I was living in. It was 3 feet wide and about 12 feet long, and that was the webcam that people see. Now, little did I know that people from all around the world were tuning in because they got to see me sleep. If you ever do a publicity stunt that is like this, I really strongly urge you, set it up so that they see you sleep. Okay? Because, I'll give you a simple example. I had no idea how much in Asia people were watching, because I didn't think, obviously they're just watching, so no need to translate. So it was kind of fascinating for them. So there was a homeless person who walked by the window one day while I was sleeping there, pounded on the window. This was for 30 days. So I was stuck in there for 30 days. Don't worry, they let me out to go to the bathroom. There wasn't a bucket in the corner. It's not bohemian. It's just like a mental challenge, all right? I still spent more time in there than David Blaine did on his stunt over the River Thames. So, so anyways, this homeless person, he pounded on the window, and I jumped like 3 feet. And the next day, there were tons of emails sent to all sorts of executives and staff at Sony, pretty much any public email address that was published online. And their inboxes were full, and they were all in Korean. And then they translated them to what the heck's going on? Are we being spammed or hacked or something? And all of them were, save Dave in the window. He's being attacked. Protect Dave, And it was hilarious. Apparently I'm big in Korea. Well, they looked on the stats in this. This is where it got the attention of the higher-ups in Sony. They looked at the stats in this, and there was over 100 million logins to that live camera. So it was a huge success. But the real reason I was doing it also was to help education, to build a brand and all that. But for every page I read, an ebook library was given to a school in America. And near the end, I was going kind of crazy. Then Chuck Norris. And that's the biggest beard I could grow. People, they wanted me to grow a big beard, and I'm like, I'm not a big beard yet. That was after 30 days. That's all that was left. I'm sorry. But after 30 days, I accomplished it, and 4.4 million ebooks were given to schools in America, so along with technology. So you might be wondering, whatever level of business you're at, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, maybe there's a company out there that wants to do a publicity stunt. It's very cost effective. They get a lot of exposure for it, and they could use your topic. They could use you, or you could blog about something they're doing, that sort of thing. Arrangements like that are made all the time, and it's a great way to kind of borrow a ladder and get a leg up. So this is on today's show. I was helping Regis on Regis and Kelly. So total, we added it up for our immigration, and I've been on over 2,000 media interviews. And this is what you can get when you get that much exposure. You get to the point where you're on lists for people, and it led to working with Forrest Whitaker. It led to the Immigration Extraordinary Designation. I was featured in a documentary on memory. And again, these are people who just called me, because it's kind of like when you get enough exposure, you just become the person that, when you do a search, you find that person. And I got an infomercial deal out of it. It's still running overseas, and we're going to do a reboot here in the U.S. And I got a book deal that actually this is an interesting book deal. Tell me if you like this title. And we haven't told anybody yet, so this will be a little beta test. All right. It's called The Forgotten History of Memory. And what we did is I researched going back for actually thousands of years, going back to Alexander the Great, and apparently great leaders in history have actually used memory techniques to convince people that they were psychic or they had a special edge on the competition. Alexander the Great is one of the people who did this. Napoleon used memory techniques to memorize everybody in his army. Even in the more modern world, JFK was a speed reader. Bill Clinton used memory techniques. Chuck Norris used memory techniques to get ahead in Hollywood. So if Chuck Norris is doing it, it's pretty cool. So we outlined some of these things, and it's really neat because there was an advisor to Hitler that was actually a memory expert and a mentalist that taught him hypnosis as well. And that's a scary story about how that turned out. And there's a bunch of spies during the Cold War who memorized information and then defected and then recalled all the information, but they weren't caught because they didn't have any microfilm on them. They had it all in their head. There was actually one pivotal moment that happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis that was helped out by a memory expert. So it's going to be kind of an exciting book. Does that sound kind of cool?
Yeah.
All right. You guys all get the first copy. All right, so we added it all up. We've converted approximately 6 million. We converted our media into approximately 6 million sales and counting, $6 million in sales, outselling all of our competitors. So that's what you can do when, I know you guys are numbers people, so you want to see the numbers. I'm in New York, well, New Jersey, sorry. And I know you want to see the numbers, so I thought I'd put that up there. But here is how you know you've really accomplished something, guys. Snoop Dogg tweeted about me. That's how you know you've made it. I don't know what he may be, I want to say, taking recreationally. That would make him have a bad memory, but no, I'm only joking. It's pretty cool. But he actually talked about my product, so it was really cool. Millionaire Memory was the name of the product at the time on the commercial, so that was kind of cool. Oh, time for some advertising. All right, look at that. Wonder Sauna long hot pants. The word long right in there. And look at that. How many people got these things? I don't know. So this little section is on weight loss, but check this out. Sometimes it went too far. This is an old advertisement for tapeworms. Yes, you ingest the seeds of tapeworms, and then, ladies, you get to eat anything you want. And this little snake grows inside you, but you don't gain weight. They don't tell you how they get it out. Maybe that was the product 2 years later or something, you know, and everyone's got tapeworms inside them. They ingest them on purpose. This was a neat one where, you know, during the 60s, there was a real anti-skinny campaign, and skinny girls were apparently, you know, the worst thing you could be. So they had all these products called Weight On, and, you know, I love this title here. If you want to be popular, you can't afford to be skinny. I just love this. Girls with naturally skinny figures amazed at this entirely new and gained 5 pounds of solid flesh, that's what they call it, in 1 week for no cost. So, there you go, that's kind of cool. And finally, what this all led to is I've grown my business and actually started a PR company called Farrow PR, and we have a team of about 8 people right now, and we're booking clients in the media, so that's what all of this led up to. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. I told you before that the media has changed. These are some of the latest numbers, a couple years old, but $4.9 billion total ad spending. The size of the graph, that's the total amount, but the farthest it comes out, that's whether it's growing or shrinking. So you see newspapers are shrinking, internet and television is growing. Some trade magazines are going down, but other magazines are growing. And radio is actually still pretty solid. The interesting thing about radio, a lot of people don't think it's a good option for publicity. I sold more on radio than any other medium. There's something about people being trapped in their cars that makes them desperate to buy stuff. At least that's the theory. So you know, getting on radio is a great thing to do, and it gets the biggest response, the direct response that day in terms of leads and sales and traffic to your website, that sort of thing. I'll give you, I guess it can be a simple example. Regis and Kelly, we made about 20,000 in sales on that first 2 days after the first broadcast. They rebroadcast it 3 times, so that was great. The really cool thing is I got a check from Disney Corporation for $1,000 every time they broadcast it. I was like, you know, I was going to do it for free, but they had to do that. So compare that to, and mind you, getting on something prestigious like Regis, obviously there was long-term benefits. Having that on my website gives credibility, it helps you get speaking gigs, all that. But compare it to radio, Q107 in Toronto. I don't know if anybody knows, classic rock station in Toronto, just serves the Toronto area, and it's just classic rock, so it's a smaller demographic, but it's my demographic, right? People who are worried about their memory. They, for some reason, like classic rock. So, anyways, it was on there, and every time I've been on there, I made about $20,000 in sales. So, a local radio station in Toronto did just as well as Regis and Kelly did nationally. So, just to give you an idea that radio can really pull in the numbers, but I think it's good to have a mix, because if you get decent television, that gives you credibility, and that'll allow you to get more radio. But I just want to explain, just in case anybody was on television and they didn't get the response that they wanted, but they did radio and they got a big response. That's very common. All right, so this is traditional media. We got lots of different stuff here, but what we try to do in PR, the difference between advertising and PR is that it's all media. The great thing about PR is that it's really expanded to social media, and people put this in a different category, but we've been mixing these things up. So, we add in new media. I'll give you a great example. When I have a client going on a show, we actually have an automated system that will advertise. We have a little bit of a budget for advertisement, but we advertise on Facebook to all of the people who have liked that show. And with some shows, it's millions of people, and you can advertise to all that. And the neat thing, the way it's done, I don't know if you guys want to know a little secret of Facebook? Want to know a little?
Yeah.
Do you want to know a little secret on Facebook? All right, this is good. I swear, $5 a day, you can get 10, 20,000 views if you make the ad right. And here's what you're looking for. You're not trying to get them to click on the ad. The ad is telling them to like your page. So they can click like without clicking through on the ad, so you only pay per click. You don't pay per like. So you can get, and Facebook, it's a robot. It wants your $5 really badly, and it'll keep on showing the ad to people until somebody clicks on it. So you end up spending 79 cents here and there and a few dollars here and there to get 3,000 or 4,000 views. But what happens is they look on that and then they like your page. Anybody who likes your fan page, you can essentially market to them. You can send them updates constantly, and you can do it far more than you can do email. So is that a cool secret? Mm-hmm. Is that a cool thing? So you do that to the people who like it. You can specify who likes the show that you're on, and then you get some longevity out of that show. Right? And that allows you to get a lot more likes on your Facebook, and then you can enter them into your sales funnel. So here is what DVRs are doing to television. This is a survey of advertisers. The top one is advertisers. The darker one is ad agencies. They're pretty even, except right there. And that's kind of self-explanatory. But essentially, here's what they said DVRs will do to their business over the next 3 years. About half, said that they're going to decrease their advertising in television. I started a little late, so I'll speed it up here. A third or 25% say it's not going to change, and just a few people are undecided. But half the people are going to cut down on their advertising spend on television. This is what we found with our infomercial as well. The people, it just was not giving the response that it used to. You know what's really killing it in infomercials right now is stuff for kids. Those little hats that flip up and down and things like that. Because kids actually watch the commercials. Nobody else does. Nobody fast forwards through them. So really what I want to do is I want to cut through all this clutter. So I'll go really quick to some of our case studies here. The goal is to get paid to be famous, not just to get exposure and not get any sales. And for that you need kind of a formula. You need a whole package. So it's not just trying to get on television. You have to know when you're on TV or radio, what message you're bringing so you can drive traffic and get sales. So here's some of the things that we've done. A good publicity formula has your hooks, so that's your position, your angle, your unique offering. Number 2, your ability to secure media. A lot of people can get interest from the media, but they don't know how to book the show, and they also don't know how to make a 5-minute show into a 15-minute show by negotiation. It's part of the skill. You have to have interview skills. You have to say things during the interview properly to get your core audience interested in you. And you have to have proper conversion on your website. A website for publicity is designed differently than a website for Google or anything else. It's more of a direct response type site if you think of infomercials. And number 5 here, this is my favorite one, you get paid twice. What I mean by that is you do a show and you get your sales from that show. Then later on that gives you the credibility to do things like book deals, like my gig with Sony or whatever that is for you, to get speaking gigs, things like that. So use your publicity to get more leverage. Does this make sense, guys? Mm-hmm. All right, so starting off with the right hook. Put a little hook in there. Clever. All right, I like this quote by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the one less traveled by, and that's made all the difference. When you're thinking of a hook, think about what makes you different. All right, so back to school time, we do a lot of stuff for back to school. Here's a reply from one radio station. I want to say thanks. They had lots of calls. The general manager came in and said she loved it. And see, I sure hope you got some action on your website. I'll keep the link up there for a while. When you do a show that they love, they try to promote you for free. This is the type of response you can get when you get them interested. So numbered hooks. If you're really thinking of, you're not sure what to turn your topic into a story, number it. So here's what a numbered hook looks like. 5 things in your house that kill your memory. 7 mistakes parents make with their kids' education. 3 amazing brain foods with tasty recipes. Aren't you interested in what those things are? It also tells the producer you know how to structure a show because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And they're not worried about putting you on the air and just having dead air time. So it sends that extra message that you're good in the media. And I'll slip right here. The 3 amazing brain foods that got me on Dr. Oz. So a numbered hook can work at even the higher level. It's not just, for starting out. A couple of interesting things we did. When Sarah Palin wrote something on her hand and she was found out, we actually generated $100,000 in sales from that by doing a hook saying, Sarah Palin needs this man. and when they open up the email, it's, oh, I'm a memory expert and I can help her remember stuff so she doesn't get embarrassed by writing stuff down. None of the interviews actually talked about Sarah Palin, but it was something that got them to open up the email. And we made about $100,000 in sales from all of that. Did the same sort of thing with Rick Perry, although it wasn't as memorable, it wasn't as responsive. Sarah Palin's just iconic. Other case studies, if there's something health related to your topic that makes a difference. One of the things we found is there's a study at Columbia University and Harvard that shows that cell phones are slowly replacing our brains. They didn't word it that way, but essentially that's what's happening. We're using technology, we're not thinking as much, so that turned into a story for the memory expert, right? Here's one of our customers, because you might think, oh great, you're a memory expert, you're a Guinness record, you can get media for yourself, what can you do for other people? This is why it's so important to really assess somebody and dig deep. What I like to do when I get a client is I like to interview them and really ask them about their business. So this is actually the niece of T. Harv Eker, who's a client of ours for One Focus Total Success. She runs the largest ADD coaching program in the world. And she essentially offers a very specific type of kind of life coaching for people with ADD, executives with ADD. So ADD's been done to death, right? I mean, you've seen it so much, it's just not in the media anymore. But during her interview, what I figured out, after interviewing about half an hour in, I get really curious about these things. And what we found was that there was a study that shows that men, specifically in this case it was boys, high school students, were diagnosed with ADHD 3 times more often than girls. Now we know from science that it's an equal opportunity disease. Women have it just as much as men, but because women aren't bouncing off the walls acting out all the time, they don't always get diagnosed. Here's the hook. There's a gender bias in the medical community. Just like back in the day when doctors didn't think women got heart disease and all these women are suffering, there's also a gender bias when it comes to ADHD. Women are being diagnosed with depression instead of ADHD. They're getting the wrong medication. It's ruining their lives. Do a show on it. Every station, every show out there is dying to get more of the female demographic. Ladies, you are the prime suspect. You are the prime target, because whatever you watch and whatever you listen to, it's like 50-60% of the chance that your husband or boyfriend or whoever is going to just listen to it with you. We're sheep. We just follow you everywhere, okay? It's true. Guys, come on. It's kind of true. All right, here's something else for media training. This is why it's important to know how to do the interview, okay? This is something called Enriched Academy. This is Kevin Cochran. He's a client of ours. He was on Dragon's Den. It's the Canadian version of Shark Tank. You guys know, you obviously know Shark Tank. Yeah, Kevin and Robert are also on Dragon's Den, the Canadian version, because they're both Canadian. We're slowly taking over. It's awesome. So he has this program, and it teaches young people how to be better with their money, how to not get into debt, how to go to college without going into debt, things like that. It's called Enriched Academy, and it's a CD, DVD set. And he's selling a ton of them, and he got on Shark Tank. He got tons of press afterwards. And he had, he'd do an interview, and he thought it'd be all exciting. It was a national level interview, and he got 3 or 4 hits on his website, 1 or 2 sales. And he's asking me what's going wrong. So I listened to his interview, and I can give you a hint as to what's going on. It's very specific for each person, but essentially, if you just give information, then people listen to your information and they go, oh, okay, I got it. And they have a sense of completion, so they don't need to do anything more. What you want to do when you're doing an interview, who here has ever been interviewed in the media, by the way? Okay, who wants to be interviewed in the media? Come on, who really wants to be interviewed in the media? All right, the rest of you are lying. All right, so if you ever do an interview, don't speak about the solution to this or that or the tip for this and that. Speak in the past tense about customers of yours that have done X, Y, and Z and accomplish something. So if I'm doing a weight loss topic, I would not say, eat this food, you'll burn fat, or you'll be healthier or something. I would say, I had a customer of mine, and she was struggling with her weight and didn't know where to go. But she started eating this food, and all of a sudden she started feeling better. Which sounds more credible? Speaking in the past tense about another person. If I'm just making a claim, then you have to kind of trust me, and you don't know me. You just met me on the air. But if I'm talking in the past tense about another customer, it's the same information, but he did it on the very next interview he got $15,000 in sales. And the one after that was $4,000, and then he gets decent sales from each radio interview he's on after that. Does that sound like a good tip? Mm-hmm. All right. And of course, I work within, there's something called a question sheet. You work out all the questions that the host is going to ask you. Then you hand it to the host with a little timestamp. It's something we do for our clients so that the host of the show, if they have 30 seconds left, they scan down the list and they see, oh, this question, your answer will take 30 seconds, and they ask you that question. It scripts the whole process, so you're not wondering if they're going to ask you a question you don't know the answer to. All right, domains, we're going to go through this pretty quick because we started a little late. I like the road less traveled, so I like to try to find domains that people are not searching in Google, but they're catchy. So some of the things we've come up with, alwaysafraid.com, somebody who deals with phobias. Every word phobia with any other word is taken. But we've got this, Always Afraid, AA, isn't that awesome? Warriors Roadmap, this is a client of ours who's a veteran who helps other veterans get an education. Disposable Me, this is a poet who was writing a book about working for a living, about being a minimum wage worker and everything, and complaining about their work. Disposable Me, and I would play on Despicable Me. MemoryTournament.com, Your Memory Sucks, Save My Memory, those are ours. DateNiceGuys.com. You like that? Mm-hmm. And again, we didn't have to buy this from somebody and it was already taken. We just thought of, what are people not Googling and kind of negative. Nobody's Googling afraid, right? They're Googling phobias. So find a word that's similar and then you can kind of do the anti-version of yours. WhenKidsActOut.com, and ABC Yoga for Kids is the name of a yoga program we help with. So, conversion. This is actually Always Afraid guy. This is Colin Christopher. He's a hypnotist, and he helps people with phobias. He was getting a lot of shows, he was getting a lot of traction, hits to his website, but he wasn't converting it. And when we looked on the site, when we looked at his shows, he wasn't really having a codified message. He wasn't really selling anything. Although he had lots of products available on his website, the interview had to match the website. So essentially think of the interview as starting a conversation and the website as finishing it. All right, running short on time, I'll go faster. A little quick advertising. Check out this. Ivor Johnson revolvers. It's safe enough to give to your daughter. This is a real ad. Can you believe that? They're not toys. They shoot straight. You may need only once, but get it now. She's just playing with this gun and a doll. There we go. Accidental discharge impossible. All right. You tell a guy wrote that, right? Look at this one. Marlboros. Before you scold me, Mom, maybe you better light up a Marlboro. Gee, Mommy, you sure enjoy your Marlboros. All right. And this one. For a better life, start on cola earlier. Yeah, because Coca-Cola is so much better than everything else, right? How soon is too soon? So we live in more sophisticated times, let's just say that. And when we make claims, we have to back it up. And this is why publicity is becoming more dominant, because people want content, not just, everyone's questioning ads. In this day and age, people, let's say they were a little more naive. All right, so hook is aligned to get the attention of media producers. Position is how you define your expertise compared to your competition. Sales angle is how you expect to make money from your media. And unique offering, what makes you different than everybody else. All right, so has this been helpful for anyone here? Yes. Is this good? Is this exciting? Yes. All right, now I kind of rushed through it a little bit. I didn't tell you a few more anecdotes. And I do want to apologize to there were some VIPs who wanted to have a photo with me. I will stay as long as you need me to take photos or answer any questions that you have. And I want to let you know of a little program that we are offering right now called Memory Tournaments. I do, obviously, I do want to let you know what we're doing for a PR company, but I wanted to just take a moment, because the reason why I got into this is to help students. And if anybody has a student in high school or college right now, we're starting memory clubs in schools. And you can ask me about that. It's going nationwide. We actually have it in 7 different countries around the world, 15 different clubs, and we're going to do more and more competitions. You may have heard of memory competitions. This is one more geared towards kids and students to get their attention. And it's just taken off. So anybody who's interested in that, you just let me know. All right, so here is 2 things that we offer. One is an online course, so it's a self-study course. It takes 6 months, and you learn all the lessons. There's several videos every single month. There's 20 hours total of training, and you go through, it's modular video lessons. You learn about local publicity, national publicity. You learn all the interview skills to bring traffic. So I just kind of give you kind of the tip of the iceberg here. And sales conversion lessons, everything we've learned about how websites should convert for media versus converting in every other format, and over 20 hours of training. So that's a little under $1,000 for that publicity formula program. We've offered it for more, but that's a good deal. The other one that I want to recommend to you is that we have this PR agency, and if you've ever looked at the prices for PR agencies, they can run $10,000 a week. It's not uncommon, and it depends on the campaign, obviously. But there's not a lot opening up for the bottom of the market for individual entrepreneurs, individual authors to really get into the field. When I started, I mean, this sort of thing would have saved me maybe 5 years of trial and error and a lot of effort and pain. Is just to be guided through. So what we've worked out is a 4-month program for $19.97. You get that monthly assessment and media training every month. You get better at interview skills. I go through mock interview skills. We actually have a video interview. 20 hours a month of my team actually pitching the media on your behalf. And the way we do it is that we also create a report every time we pitch the media. We create a report of what the media says about these books and these pitches. So you get a report every month on what they say. Press kits, media landing page, live on-camera interview training we put on your website analysis and report, dedicated publicity agents. So here's what I wanted to offer to you guys. The option A is the publicity formula online course, and B would be the Farrow PR agency for $19.97 for 4 months. Option C is to get both of them, and it's just $2,100 a month for 4 months. Is $8,400. This is something that can transform your business, but I wanted to kind of give you guys an offer that you can't refuse. I wanted to come down here and make an impact. So this is our Mad Special. I love using the Mad Men thing. You can get option A for only $4.97. If you want to get the online course, you can get it for half price. We don't offer it anywhere else there. If you want to use our agency, if you get a hold of me from this event, I can get it to you for $9.97 per month for 4 months. We ask for a 4-month commitment because it does take time to get the media on your side. Usually it takes a good month before we get good responses. And if you want both, then you know what, just $9.97 a month for 4 months, and you can get both. Does that sound like a deal, or is that a deal? Mm-hmm. All right, so anybody who's interested in that, come on up and ask me questions. I've got forms and everything. I'd love to talk to you more. Do we have time to take any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay, so are there any questions on anything that I've gone over in this presentation? Anything? Does anybody have a story idea they'd like to run by me? Yeah.
How we can get member of this?
Oh yeah, the memory tournaments. Yeah, we have the books for the memory tournaments. Yeah, I can get that for you. I don't have an ebook on publicity. I don't plan on being one of those authors on PR. I just want to run the agency and offer an opportunity for individual entrepreneurs to get ahead with that. Are there any other questions at all on publicity? I know it's a lot of information to throw at you all at once. Has this made you think about PR and the PR game a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Come on up and ask me questions, and I hope you remember me, but I won't forget you.
Okay, thanks. this morning, I want to remind that the Board of Directors and the 20 people who were the first to sign up, please stay for your picture with Dave, and then we'll send out an email to tell you when the teleconference is going to be. So an added piece is that those 20 people get to participate in a teleconference that will talk about how to use this picture that's being taken more effectively. And if anybody would like to let us videotape you with any